Village of Peoria Heights Board of Trustees meeting. Meeting is now called to order. Would you please rise and join us in the pledge of the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Present.
Trustee Carter.
Present.
Trustee Mariscal.
Present.
Trustee Cumming. Trustee Reichert.
Present.
Trustee Fuller.
Present. Thank you very much. First order of business tonight is the approval of the Board of Trustees minutes for the February 16th meeting. Are there any changes that need to be made to the minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion from Trustee Carter and a second from Trustee Reichert. All those in favor of approving the Board of Trustees minutes for February 16th, 2016 as submitted, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The ayes have it. Board has approved the minutes for February 16th as submitted. Our next order of business tonight will be correspondence, and that will be presented by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
I have no correspondence this evening.
All right. Thank you very much. No announcements, so we'll move to trustee reports, and first up will be Public Works with Trustee Harn.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I have nothing.
All right, thank you very much. Trustee Cumming couldn't be here tonight. Anything on the administration personnel front, Mr. Administrator?
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. We'll go to Economic Development, Village Improvements with Trustee Carter.
Thank you. I have nothing tonight.
Thank you very much. We'll go to the Police Department with Trustee Fuller.
Thank you, Marilyn. I only have that Neighborhood Watch will be Monday the 28th up here at Village Hall, 6:30 p.m.
All right, thank you. Any questions at all for Trustee Fuller? Okay, thanks again. We'll go to Village Hall Building Maintenance with Trustee Mariscal.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I have nothing to report this evening.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll close out with the Fire Department with Trustee Reichert.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing.
All right, thank you. Well, you think there was a Cub game on tonight or something? We'll now come to the comments from the audience. If anybody has a care, concern, question, please come up to the village lectern and give us your name and address, and or we can call you at night if you have a negative comment.
I have a request from, I was going to ask if maybe we could get Peyton Marfell to come up and tell us about the Key Club. It's Dave Marfell's son. He's one of our public works, actually works for the water works.
Basically, for Key Club. Well, this year been like every year we do 2 blood drives per year. We do one like towards the beginning, or we just did one Friday, and then we had a dance not too long ago. I don't remember the exact date, and then I'm trying to think. And then there's I believe it's one of the upcoming weekends. There's like a DCLC convention for Key Club District Convention, and that's for all the upcoming officers and current officers that will be going to that. And then, I mean, that's basically it. I've just been volunteering at a lot of local places and school things throughout the whole year.
Okay, well, that's interesting. You think you're going to come out this summer and work for the Public Works Department a little bit?
Probably.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Peyton. I like his first name.
Yeah, Peyton Manning.
All right. Any other comments from the audience? Mr. Masters?
I gotta take these off so I can read. I appreciate Honorable Mayor and Board, Chief, Administrator, and Operation Director. I know in the past, the subject's been touched on. It's the landlords and non-owner occupied rental properties, and if you, of course, you know, in the village we have quite a few rentals. You know, actually, going back to our 2009 survey, the Neighborhood Impact Partnership meeting, which Ms. Musselman was very key in. Then we had actually 39% of the homes were occupied by renters. Okay, that's, we had 3,331 units and 1,299 rentals. The reason I bring this up, because the other part of that impact asked for a response from the public, and part of the response to the survey questions, which were, what are the most serious problems facing our community? Okay, I can tell you what they are right here. According to that survey, the people that turned in their survey question, like unkept properties, too many rentals, crime, vandalism, and theft, schools, and ordinance code enforcement. So I think if we look at it, it's a benefit to have something in place, just like the city of Peoria is doing right now. Actually, they was just finished their thing up. It enhances twofold. It gives you a method of knowing who owns the property and to bring everybody up to a standard of living and applicable for them and the neighbors. And it also is a source of revenue, which is important. Now, the Peoria used to have, in their last census, they had 20,000 homes and 8,000 were rentals. That's right at 40%, so it's running about the same as us. When they first started, they had 4 code enforcement officers to handle it. They have since revised how they're doing it, and they went to a program method that just occurred at the Civic Center, to where the landlords must register their properties or face escalating fines. And what that does is it cut down on the code enforcement, because like everybody, they had budget restraint problems and had to cut somewhere. So now, by making the landlord basically responsible, he's informed of everything. He has the codes. He's more responsible for his tenants to keep those in line, so that they don't have to call out, so they didn't have the need for the 4 code enforcement officers. It's handled in their regular business now. In between time, they also figured out that their $50 a year fee wasn't doing them enough money to keep the program in effect, so they raised the fee up. Now it's $150, and it's $75 per house if you attend the meetings. And then if you have an apartment complex, it's $20 per unit extra. So in order to gather the information, because I know everybody here is pretty busy on stuff, I went to the seminar at the program at the Civic Center to get some insight, and I'll give you kind of just a brief thing on that. A meeting like that, it's in our position here. You could do it, or you couldn't, or you don't have to do it. That's just one of the things they're trying. They're changing stuff as they go. The organizations that were present there, Prairie Legal was there, and they had talked a little about fair housing law, discrimination, and some of the criteria for some of their programs. The Illinois Department of Human Rights was there. They had their investigator there that talked a little bit about discrimination investigations. The Housing Choice Voucher Program was there, which it used to be called Section 8, and administered by Peoria Housing Authority, and they have their own inspection standards and things like before it can be inspected, all utilities have to be connected, and they do complaint inspections. The Ameren Efficiency Program was represented there, and they had talked about they had incentives, rebates for owners and renters, and they had a wastewater mitigation program started, which as you've been following, the combined sewer water rain overflow problem that Peoria is facing is, quite a few $1 million. I don't know what we have here as far as that problem, but I'm just relating what they did. They have stormwater mitigation strategies and involving parking lot together, sump pumps and all that. And there is a fee to a $13 fee to the property owners, because they are trying to save money in the long run, you know. So that's kind of what their meeting was. Then I took it a step farther and I said, okay, now I kind of want to know the ins and outs of the main problems that happened. So I contacted Joe Doolin, which is the assistant director of the code enforcement, and I set up a meeting with him and talked with him. And I had a list of questions I went in with to get his input. One of my first ones was time needed for inspections, you know. And that's when he told me how they changed it when they had the 4 inspectors inspected every property that they don't do anymore because this new program's taken it out. They created a owner-tenant self-inspection sheet that's to be kept by the owner in case of complaints later. All the stuff I have obtained copies from him, that sheet there that they formed, in case it might be something you want to use. So they further inspections are driven by complaints by the tenant, neighbors, whatever. So it's kind of cut down on their code enforcement fees, you know, or code enforcement time needed. So they, and then I asked him about, well, does it take any more time, like in the courts and stuff like that? And he said, well, they have a hearing education thing that goes to. So he said, really, it's the same as any other code violation with the hearing board and the courts. Okay, then I asked, how do you obtain your list of your property orders and stuff? And he said, well, they're obtained from the tax records, you know, and with neighborhood updates, in case somebody's trying to pull a fast one, you know, owns 3 houses in a row and wants to claim it in taxes as owner occupied rather than a rental, which there's a difference in a tax rate, you know. And he said that cut down on a lot of those exemption problems. And when they do investigate complaints, they don't just investigate that complaint. When they pull in, they look at the surrounding properties, various things, you know, parking, because they have their, you know, you don't park on the grass type of ordinances, license plates that are current on cars there, the weeds, the grass, right, accumulation, has house numbers on. So when their inspector goes, it's not just for one thing, he looks at the whole area, so you're kind of implementing a kind of like what we have where you do the neighborhood sweep deal, you know. Well, excuse me, the inspector's kind of doing that as he's going too. So that's kind of reduced a lot of the problems they have. And I asked him about chronic offenders, and he said they have an increasing scale on fines that sent owners for violations, and that's an incentive for them to keep good tenants and to make them aware of the codes and the compliances that they have to follow. The owner oversight, they have a ordinance that if the owner doesn't live in a Tri-County area, then he has to have a legitimate agent with contact info that they can, with authority to rectify any of the complaints. And vacant properties, which we occur every now and then. A vacant property, a not lived-in home, still has to register. They have to know who the owner is, no matter what. And then it came up with special considerations, which hospital-style rooms are exempt and from the unit fees, but the senior citizen living condos, duplexes aren't, because he said that was a contention that has come up before, but they're not exempt. The just reiterate, advantage of the program, ensure the proper tax designation, existing ordinance enforcement, the owners are identified of the parcels, the non-related people residing in dwellings. He said they had trouble with some of the bigger, older homes, especially around Bradley, more people living in them that were unrelated than what were really supposed to be. So he said that helps on that because the owner is now responsible to police that situation. So also then the owners updated on the ordinances. They notify the owners through public notification made in newspapers and on their website. And they have inspection forms that they issue for the tenant and owner to go in. And of course, they had a fee reduction for the tenant in the meeting for that. So I'm of the opinion that maybe we need to really to look into this, because you hear so many people talk about I don't want to call it a blight, but the worn look in some of our neighborhoods that's not being addressed, and we can't expect the cost of all of that to come onto our taxpayers and our code enforcement. We need to share that a little bit. So that's why I think it is vital to do that. I've obtained copies of everything. I got the copies of their ordinances, their registrations and all that I'll turn into Matt and Sarah so they can review, and you guys can take a look at it later. And if you need any more information, I'll be glad to find out for you.
All right. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Any questions at all for Craig? We appreciate all the information. We'll take it under advisement. Any other comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
I'll just add to what Craig said. Kevin Shields. I own a couple rental properties in Peoria, and I think they instituted it 4 or 5 years ago. I hate it. I hate it simply because it's something I have to go to, and then I don't go, and I have to pay more. And in our law practice here, Merkley and Shields, we represent probably about 1,000 units in Peoria of landowners. Most of them are large landowners that have 200, 300 units. And so we're in the forcible entry court all the time. Now, as much as I don't like it as landowner, it's a really good program. If nothing else, it gets all the landlords in one room, and you'd be surprised at what somebody who may even own 7 or 8 properties doesn't know. Some of the most basic things, like you can't, self-help is prohibited. You can't just lock doors on somebody. You can't change locks, what they're required to do. So it is a really good program. I also think it's a good, incentive for landlords to come as opposed to just paying the money. And certainly if the village, and I think it's also good because they do get the form lease out, and if the village wanted to put something on, like a program like that, or where they would come, Merkley and Shields would be happy to participate in any way pro bono, whether it's providing a sample lease or coming and doing some segment just about forcible entry or any other type of section like that. We'd be happy to help out and just take some of the knowledge we have from representing a lot of units in the process of the courts, because the process of the courts changes about every year or two, just because the judges are rotating and different judges want different things. So, it's a great way to just get a lot of information to landlords that they wouldn't normally get, and it does help sort of incentivize them to get better tenants and stay on top of certain things. And so, I think it would be a good program for the village to institute if it was feasible to do so, and the fees that were charged would be enough to enough to provide enough revenue to actually provide for a program like that. So,
thank you. I do want to add a couple things real quick, and we do appreciate the information. I've always stated that the village was an equal opportunity code enforcement community. Was that simply because you're renting doesn't mean you're a bad person, and some of our worst offenders own their homes. And I think our police department does an excellent job of enforcing code, and I've seen a marked improvement over the years since I've been here, and I think Chief would agree with that they've stepped it up, and we've added people. We've added a full-time code enforcement officer, which has helped immensely. That being said, there's always room for improvement. I look at a lot of foreclosed homes, and I'm in a lot of neighborhoods in larger cities, and Peoria for that matter, and a lot of times I come back, I tell people I come back, I say, boy, we look pretty good, because I'm in neighborhoods that are just horrible, what Peoria is doing, I'm sure something's better than nothing, but I would say most people would look at the neighborhoods in most cities and say things are probably going downhill in most neighborhoods of medium to lower medium priced homes. I know it's happened in our neighborhood. People just don't take care of their homes like they used to, and it's not the old man philosophizing about it. When I was a kid, there were people with very modest means, weren't making much money, but they took great care of their homes. And that described most people that I knew when I was a kid. things have changed. So it's difficult to stay on top of it. We're doing our darndest to try and do it, and but anything that we can do. Now, one good thing about with our own water department, we know everybody who owns property here, because they get billed for the water. The tenant does not get billed for the water. So we do have access to that information. If we have an issue with a particular property, we know where to find the owner, so long as the address is good. But we do appreciate the input, and we will pursue, getting more information as necessary. And if there's a program that we can afford and that will help, we're all for it. So, Craig, particularly, with the information you have, you present to Mr. Administrator, and we'll take it to the board at an upcoming departmental, which we want you at anyway, but as soon as we get the budget taken care of. All right? Okay. Thank you.
Can I just add something? Sure. Thank you both for your comments, and I know Mr. Shields serves on the committee as well, and Mr. Fick will have to enlighten me too what our formal name is, because I continually forget, so I apologize for that. But the Strategic Planning Committee, I guess, is
I don't even know if we have a formal name.
Well, maybe we don't. Maybe that's my problem.
Corridor Revitalization Group or something.
But I'm wondering if maybe there isn't an opportunity here to add that to the list. And I realize the time for public comment we've already had that period, but, I think it is an ongoing working document, and I think, given the comments of Mr. Masters and Mr. Shields and Mayor Allen, that, it is an ongoing issue, and the one that we've talked about repeatedly, and I think that it's not an issue that's going to go away. So as we look at the board's potential for adopting a strategic plan, that, with the impact on the neighborhoods and the need for some sort of strategy moving forward in a positive manner, that maybe this might be an opportunity to tie this discussion into that program. And maybe not, maybe that's not the appropriate avenue and there's a better way to do it, but I just think that maybe that's something we could add to the list with the consultant at some point.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So I just have one
Sure.
thing that I forgot about the program, and this is, I think, probably the best part of the program. Once a year when you do the checklist, it requires you to sign it, it requires your tenant to sign it, but one of the most important things is it requires you to go through and check all the life safety stuff, so we have to check all the smoke detectors, we have to make sure everything's working, and those are kind of the things that a lot of times fall through the cracks. So even for me as a landlord, I'll see that meeting come up where the annual registration and the payment, I'm thinking, and I go, oh yeah, I gotta get over there, because I gotta get my tenant to sign this, and when you're there, you go around and check all the smoke detectors, and you do all that stuff, and you sign it. So it's, if nothing else, even if it's not for all this other stuff, that's a lot of times something that falls through the cracks. You have a tenant that's been in the house for 5 years, it kind of forces you to, at least once a year, go in there and check all that stuff, which I think is really beneficial.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Okay, well, we appreciate the dialogue. Communication's always good, so we appreciate that, and we appreciate everyone attending. We'll go now to no old business tonight, so we're going to go to new business, and first up will be having to do with the approval for use of Tower Park for the Grow Your Family Green, and that will be presented by Trustee Carter.
Thank you. I make a motion to allow Grow Your Green Family to use the Tower Park October 15th. I do believe that this is new for them, and it's a wellness blogging, it has essential oils, business resource page. They do have a website, which is www.growyourgreenfamily.com. I suggest people go out there and check it out, and then come up to the Tower Park on October 15th. So I make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Carter.
Second.
Second from Trustee Harn. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? All right, once again, it's for board approval of the use of Tower Park for the Grow Your Green Family. I said Grow Your Family Green, so one way or another, we're going to get you green. On Saturday, October 15, 2016, as outlined by Trustee Carter. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Carter.
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Aye.
Trustee Fuller.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 5-0, the board has approved the Grow Your Green Family to have Tower Park on October 15th, 2016, as outlined by Trustee Carter. Next order of new business tonight is the approval of the use of Tower Park for the Walk MS, and that will be presented by Trustee Carter.
Thank you. I also make a motion to allow the Multiple Sclerosis Society to use the Tower Park Sunday, September 11th for their annual walk. It's just a rest stop area. It starts at the Junction City, and they'll have tables and set up here for the resting area.
All right.
So I make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion from trustee Carter. Second from trustee Reichert. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of Walk MS to be using Tower Park on September 11th, 2016, as outlined by trustee Carter. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn?
Aye.
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. Trustee Fuller?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 5-0, the board has approved the use of Tower Park for Walk MS on Sunday, September 11th, 2016, as outlined by trustee Carter. Next order of new business tonight, once again, is for use of Tower Park, but if we didn't have Tower Park, we wouldn't have anything on the agenda, it seems. Approval for use of Tower Park for Strides for Justice 5K, and that will be presented by trustee Carter.
I feel lucky tonight. I got it all. Again, I make a motion for the Tower Park to allow the Strides for Justice 5K walk to happen on it's actually Saturday, September 24th. And it looks like they'll hold registration at the Tower Park and then proceed down Grandview Drive for the 5K walk run, and it should start at around 6 a.m.
Okay. We have a motion from trustee Carter.
Second.
Second from trustee Mariscal. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of the use of Tower Park for Strides for Justice 5K on Saturday, September 24th, as outlined by trustee Carter. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn?
Aye.
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. Trustee Fuller?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 5-0, the board has approved the use of Tower Park for Strides for Justice 5K on Saturday, September 24th, as outlined by trustee Carter. Amazingly enough, we have one more item here of new business for the approval of the use of Tower Park for the Leadership Academy fundraiser on Friday, April 29th, 2016. And I just don't think we can do that tonight, Mr. Larson, because the Tower Park is just worn out. So, okay, we'll do it this time. Could somebody come up and just give us a brief overview of what's involved here? Give us your name and...
Hi, my name's Cole Riley. I'm here on the behalf of the Peoria Heights High School Leadership Academy. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys all for your sponsorship and for listening to me tonight. Essentially, we're requesting the tower for it's a 50-50 thing. The first 50 is a community appreciation night, which involves you, the police department, the fire department, store owners, teachers, basically everyone that has some sort of involvement within our town. We're gonna have events. Anyone's invited. It's from